Hey everybody, it's Chris. Welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be looking at a few of the recent and cringeworthy TikToks from J Bay Official, otherwise known as Jaelynn Chaney. She is the fat activist who has been petitioning for airlines to give morbidly obese people a bunch of free seats and wanted hallways and elevators and things to be enlarged in hotels and buildings. Basically, she wants the buildings torn down and rebuilt around her and her bad habits. And she's just one of the most squeaky of wheels in the fat acceptance community right now. And she's very problematic, very entitled, very spoiled, has no idea how entitled she is. So I figured I wanted to look at, there was 3 or 4 specific, more recent ones I wanted to look at. So I wanted to start off with, this woman has a lot of health problems because of her weight. That being said, she still actually moves around and walks amazingly well. She's young. She's in her early to mid 20s. People see her on oxygen. She does have oxygen. It's not because of her weight, but her weight definitely aggravates it. She has a condition called pulmonary hypertension, which is a very, very serious disease. And I just thought before we get into this, I would real quick read you a quick definition. This is from the Mayo Clinic of what pulmonary hypertension is. I know when I learned about stuff like that when I was a paramedic, one of the things I was most terrified of ever getting or having was pulmonary hypertension. So let me just read you this real quick so that we understand Jaelynn's very serious medical condition and why she wears the oxygen and why it is even worse for her to not just be overweight, to be obese while she has this condition. This just says to me she really truly cares nothing about her overall health. But anyways, pulmonary hypertension, and hypertension, guys, is just the medical term for high blood pressure. Pulmonary relates to the lungs. Pulmonary hypertension is a type of high blood pressure that affects the arteries in the lungs and the right side of the heart. You know, nothing serious, right? In one form of pulmonary hypertension, called pulmonary arterial hypertension, blood vessels in the lungs are narrowed, blocked, or destroyed. The damage slows blood flow through the lungs. Blood pressure in the lungs arteries go up. This makes the heart work much harder to pump blood through the lungs. The extra effort will eventually cause the heart muscle to become weak and fail. And some people, pulmonary hypertension slowly gets worse and can be very life-threatening. There is no cure for pulmonary hypertension, but treatments are available to help you feel better, live longer, and improve your quality of life. And if you scroll, I mean, there's a bunch of symptoms and stuff like that. The biggest risk factors for pulmonary hypertension and pulmonary arterial hypertension, out of the list of like 6 or 7 things, the top 2 things are a family history and being overweight. I do think, I'm under the impression she kind of was born with it. She has a more like congenital version of it, but if she has it because of her weight, then it's her doing. If she was born with it, then this woman should have absolutely done everything she could to manage her overall health and weight. And instead, she doesn't only get big, she gets super morbidly obese. And instead of doing the work to lose the weight, she just gets to the point where she's outsizing society and wants society to change for her. I mean, how lazy and gluttonous can you get? And then this woman, she doesn't work. Clearly, she's some sort of a trust fund baby or something. She travels all over the place and stuff like that. Has no idea how lucky she is. You know how many people would love to go on a vacation and they can't, and they couldn't afford to fly their family places. This woman is traveling and flying around and jet setting all the time, on somebody else's dollar. She's got it pretty, you know, pretty good. She's got it made. And her husband, who is also morbidly obese but looks small compared to her, all they care about is flying around, living this good life, and getting catered to more so than other people, and wanting everybody to overly accommodate their bad habits. So, that being said, let's get into it and see what old J-Bay's up to here. I will read things on the screen if I have to. If there's music, you know, because of YouTube, I have to mute it. So we will just go with it and see what happens. Okay, this first one we're going to react to says, it's her saying, seatbelt extenders should be available in every rideshare. It would be if you need it and you bring it with you. If you have your own, then it will be available. Don't give me this crap she's going to try to push. She wants the Uber drivers to have, like, seatbelt extenders of various sizes and God knows what else she'll ask for next. No. If you need it, you bring it. You know you need it. It's something relevant to you. You bring it. Just like somebody who needs a cane brings a cane. Doesn't expect the Uber driver to have a variety of canes for them. See, this is like the entitlement. Before I even get started, this is the entitlement that just pisses people off. It's not that people hate fat people. Some people do. But we hate this entitlement she's pushing. She's making fat people look bad. And it's ridiculous. Bring your own stupid seatbelt extender. You know what I mean? Like, oh no, he should have it for me. All the drivers should have it for me. No. Or how about, you know what, you lose some weight and then you don't need a seatbelt extender. Okay, God, let's get into this.
Every time I use a rideshare, I'm forced to ride without a seatbelt because there are no seatbelt extenders.
Well, then you shouldn't be allowed in the car. Pardon my language, but it's not safe. You're not supposed to be riding without a seatbelt. At least in my state, it's illegal. And if you guys weren't watching, like, we have to rewind this. Look at her walking. She is, like, lumbering over there like an ogre, like Shrek or something. I'm not saying she's an ogre, but with that motion, because she can't even walk normally anymore. She's at the point where she has to kind of do that side to side sway and stuff because she's so large. And I don't think she's very tall. She looks like she's no taller than about 5'4", maybe 5'5", I don't know. This woman is very sick and essentially only partially mobile. Like I said, I'm surprised she walks as good as she does. And then the worst part is she's so entitled and smug and smarmy. I mean, look at, if you're not watching, you should see this smug grin on her face. And it's just what makes her punchable, not being fat. If she was, yes, it's problematic because she clearly takes and takes and takes much more than her share in a very greedy fashion. But if she was thin and she was like this, she'd be even more punchable. But we'll finish this here.
Every time I use a rideshare, I'm forced to ride without a seatbelt because there are no seatbelt extenders. It's time to make it mandatory for rideshares to provide seatbelt extenders. Read the caption for more.
No. Like I said, bring your own. If I need something, I know it's something I require and I need. I don't expect the whole freaking world to have it. I bring my own. If you can afford all these plane tickets, Jaelynn, you can afford a freaking seatbelt extender. And she can't even fit in the back seat. If you weren't looking, that Uber driver let her get in the front seat, which is a violation. I believe they're not supposed to let passengers ride in the front. But she can't fit in the back, so they let her get in the front seat. That's pitiful. That's another reason. That's like one of the reasons why, like, I get kind of frustrated with people like Karina Kaboom. saying things like to Amberlynn, like, oh, get a driver's license, take an Uber. Amber, and this woman is probably about 100 pounds smaller than Amber. And this woman probably goes at least 430, 440. Yes, I don't believe Amberlynn's weigh-ins. But she can't ride in the back seat because she doesn't fit. Amber can't fit in the back seat of a freaking Uber. Stop telling her to take Ubers all the time. She can't climb up into a bus. She certainly can't fit into the car and drive behind the wheel. She actually barely fits in the passenger seat. She has to sit back, sit at an angle. I mean, she's almost outsized herself out of a car, and this woman is not far behind her. So this is just crazy, the entitlement. You should have a seatbelt extender. You should have this and that. No, Jaelynn, how about you take some of the money from your plane tickets or all the food you buy and take what? How much is a seatbelt extender? $20, $30, $40 and get one. It's called, be responsible for the position you've put yourself in and the size you have made yourself and deal with the consequences. This woman is not this weight because of her condition or because of genetics or anything like that. She was clearly taught bad habits when she was young. She wasn't told no. She was overfed. She was taught bad eating. And I feel bad about that. But when you're an adult, you're responsible for your own actions. And she has eaten herself to a very, very dangerous state with an already pre-existing, very, very serious lung and heart condition. She's 25. I would not, and I don't wish like death upon anybody. I would be really shocked if she makes it to 34 or 35. I don't think it's going to happen. She needs to change, but she is so self-entitled and holier than thou, and she really thinks that everybody owes her. She's one of the ones I would peg as just, there's no hope for her to change. Like, they could tell her, look, your condition's going to kill you, J-Bae. You need to lose weight and lose it now. And there's a chance we can improve your pulmonary hypertension. We can prolong your life, but you've got to eat healthier and you've got to lose weight. And she would just sit there, you're fat phobic. And then she wouldn't do it. This one won't change. So that was fun. And here is, she's been posting videos about her discrimination she's facing in all these airports. All the airports she's in, guys, because she's going on all kinds of plane rides to go on trips to all these vacations, but she's totally not lucky or privileged or entitled or anything like that. Maybe if you weren't in so many airports, J-Bae, you wouldn't be having these situations happen. Stay home. How about that? Stay home and eat less and lose some weight. This next one is titled Trapped and Ignored. Oh my God.
Recently,
Trapped and Ignored. My dehumanizing experience as a plus-size disabled traveler at Chicago O'Hare Airport. I've been to Chicago O'Hare several times. It's a very nice airport. It's big, though. You're not plus size, J-Bae. You're morbidly obese. Plus size is like what Ashley Graham was, or, Queen Latifah. She's lost a little weight. She's a plus size. You are just gigantic, and I'm not trying to be mean, but it is true. You can hardly walk. Oh, I hate how the fat acceptance movement steals and bastardizes all these terms. Anyways, let's hear about this totally horrible dehumanizing experience.
I had a distressing experience at Chicago O'Hare Airport. As a plus-size ambulatory wheelchair user, I faced a significant challenge when trying to get to baggage claim. The only option was to go through a revolving door. We pressed the button to slow it down for people with disabilities, but as
you're not disabled. I had to stop it there for just a second. she would be disabled because of her pulmonary hypertension. She is talking about her weight. Her weight, I'm sorry, like, people get me up. My saying is, being obese is disabling, but it is not a disability. It is something you've eaten your way into. You can eat your way out of it. Like the pulmonary hypertension, that's different. People who have legitimate disabilities, that's one thing. But again, they're freaking, you know, taking and using disability for something that they've done to themselves. And a disability is not something you've done to yourself most of the time. It's like something you can't control. And this woman sure as shit can control her weight, because she could still eat a shit ton of food, like a lot of food, and still be eating less than she currently eats and drop a lot of weight. This woman would see health improvements even if she just lost 100 pounds, but she needs to lose like 250 probably.
As soon as we entered, we got stuck.
Oh my God. Can you imagine seeing this woman who is damn near as wide as the frickin' causeway that leads into the airplane being stuck in a revolving door?
I'm claustrophobic and began to panic, frantically motioning to the staff for help. They just stared at me, offering no assistance.
I don't believe that. Not for a minute. Not for a minute. If these people, J-Bay, you don't know this because you don't work. These people need their jobs because they have to pay bills. So if a customer needs help, they're probably within reason, as to the best of their ability, going to help them. They're not just going to blatantly outright sit there and laugh at you being wedged into the revolving door. And she's trying to make it sound like they did this and they just stood there and laughed at her because she's fat and she was stuck. But they would have totally ran over and helped a thin person. No, people, like, this doesn't happen 99.9% of the time.
A passerby noticed our struggle and tried to help, but the airport staff remained unresponsive.
I don't believe it.
This was my second terrible experience at O'Hare during just one trip. The lack of assistance was not only frustrating but dehumanizing, highlighting the necessity for airport staff to treat travelers of all sizes and abilities with the respect and care they deserve.
They do. Like, for the most part, you're always going to have people that are just jerks. But see there, and she's using these buzzwords like dehumanizing and stuff like that. No, it's not dehumanizing. If anything, you dehumanized yourself by eating yourself out of having human shape and human, like, basic abilities. These people, like, never in a job I worked in did I ever just stop and just laugh at a fat person and not do my job and let them suffer and do whatever. Whether you like someone or not, I had to pay my bills. My bills depended on that paycheck. So I did what I could do to the best of my ability. And if I couldn't do it, would find somebody else who would. Like, and this happens to her all the time. Like I said, I think the problem is she's just traveling too much, going on too many vacations. Maybe she should just stay home and focus on eating less, losing weight, going on walks, and stop being an entitled little spoiled brat. And then there is this one.
This was right before the incident I'm about to tell you about. On the first leg of the trip, the wheelchair assistance completely failed us. I was left struggling to be okay. There is a video about the incident on my page.
That's where she was talking about the she wanted help. She didn't use her oxygen on a plane, which is dumb because she has pulmonary hypertension, as we talked about. But she was mad because she wanted a wheelchair to push her up, like I said, that causeway, to get her out of the plane and into the airport. And that thing is on an incline. And she said somebody turned around and wouldn't push her. I'm going to tell you, I worked in a hospital and I am very short. It's like when you push a wheelchair, you kind of have your arms like against your sides or close to your sides, and you push that way. You use your arms to kind of support you and turn the wheelchair and stuff, but you're doing most of the pushing from your legs and your back. There was one time I had to push, one or two times, I had to push a very wide wheelchair. Okay, one that might have been able to hold her. She might actually be bigger than it. And what happened is, especially when you're short, it's even harder. Instead of being able to have my arms like against my side or close to my side so I could put like my knees and legs and back into pushing the wheelchair, my arms, because the wheelchair was so wide, the handles I had to hold were way out. So my arms were way out away from my side, you know, like picture like, you know, how a scarecrow is hanging there and his arms are out like that. Well, mine were kind of like that, except I was holding a wheelchair in front of me, and I had to try to push like that. It was extremely hard on my arms. I had to really lean down and like bend in my knees, and it was very hard for me to move and steer this wheelchair. And I could feel the strain in my upper back and my arms, and I almost hurt myself trying to take this person all the way through the freaking hospital. So can you, and that was like on like flat level floor with no carpets and stuff. If I had to push her and be in that position, which is very awkward, up a ramp with a carpet and stuff, there's just no way. I wouldn't be able to do it. I would literally have to like, it would look like somebody trying to like hold a door shut from somebody trying to bust in. It's very difficult. It's very hard, and she's not helping at all. The fact is somebody doing that could have very easily injured themselves, strained or pulled their back, their shoulders, a combination. It's not worth it. The person probably said, dude, I got to go get somebody else. I can't push this woman. She's too huge. And then, you know, they end up getting hurt, having problems, maybe missing work. And again, J-Bay, they need their job. They, you know, they need the money. They can't afford to get injured and miss work. And not only that, but then you're going about your merry way when technically you are capable of freaking walking, because we see you run your ass into the airport to go catch your flight, pushing a you know, luggage. But then this person is left with a damaged, injured back because J-Bay was lazy and didn't want to have to walk. So that's what she's talking about. And that's like, I was like, wanted to try to explain why that is like extra difficult and extra tricky with someone her size. It's hard to push a smaller person for some people up a ramp. So again, just not thinking about other people, not thinking about the consequences of her actions and her choices, and the potential consequences they may have had on another person that's not her. But she is the perfect example of why people hate fat acceptance. The laziness, the entitlement, the just spoiled brat of it all. Anyways.
Experience was already stressful and humiliating enough, so by the time it was time to fly home, I decided to have my fiance push me in the wheelchair to avoid any more mishaps. Picture that.
And you see, it's hard for him to push her, and she doesn't want him to push her because, one, he's huge too and he has a problem, but he also has to film the incident so she can get footage for, you know, her channel. And again, if you're not looking now, we're getting into, it's showing her just just walking her little butt on her big butt onto the plane with no real problems. Like, this woman can walk a short distance or like a decent distance with No problems at all, because I'm looking at it right here. She's perfectly able to be ambulatory. She just chooses not to be, at the detriment of other people.
This, me, a plus-size woman in a wheelchair, pushing my suitcase with one hand while my fiance did their best to steer. It wasn't
Did his best to steer? Okay.
the easiest setup, but we were managing. As we were...
Oh, I'm so sorry that you're having all these inconveniences and troubles coming home from yet another luxury vacation. Oh, I'm sorry if I'm having trouble feeling bad for you. And she's on some big planes sometimes too.
We're making our way through the terminal. We walked by a group of flight attendants. At first, I thought nothing of it, but then I heard the unmistakable sound of laughter, directed right at us. They didn't even try to hide it. They pointed, laughed, and made snide remarks, and one said, "What the actual fuck?" My heart sank. The sting of their mockery was intense. It's one thing to deal with stares and whispers, but outright laughter and public humiliation. It was too much. Nobody should be treated like this. Read the caption for more. This was right.
And again, this didn't happen. This is just a perfect example of what I just said. These flight attendants, these people, Jaelynn, aren't living off of their parents' money or whatever it is you're doing. They need to work. So they need their job. They're not going to just do that. Like, it's not real. And I know typically flight attendants are kind of held to a high standard because they are direct representatives for the companies that they work for. That didn't happen. You know, they're very specific about behavior and appearance and just a whole myriad of things. I had looked into being a flight attendant years ago. It's very, very strict. Chances are these people were already converged and in a circle, in a group, talking and joking and stuff, which they were. She described so much, and they were laughing and talking and joking amongst themselves. They probably saw her and looked over because I'm sorry, but at her size, she's going to garner stares. It's just, you know, when you're abnormal in some way, people are going to look at you, be it you're too fat or you're too not too, but like you're really fat or you're really muscular or you're super tall or you're super short, you know, something like if you're out of the norm, people are going to look. There's no way these flight attendants just point blank in the middle of a busy airport at the risk of their job turned and looked at her and went, "Oh my God, what the actual F?" and started laughing and pointing at her. This just didn't happen. And again, it's just another way of her trying to act like she's a perpetual victim. And, oh, poor me. Oh, look at the stuff I go through just to be able to do regular things like my 18 vacations a year. And like make people look bad. Make these airport or airplane employees look bad, and I don't believe this happened. She's a vicious, evil person. And you know, she wouldn't have any of these problems if she would eat a little less and lose some weight. I'm probably going to do a couple more videos on her because she has a bunch of them she's putting out that are just absolutely ridiculous. And there is one more I wanted to go through that I had picked out for today, and it is this one.
Well, it's quite simple.
She's answering. She's responding to a comment that says, "Things that would make me act up on a flight as a normal-sized passenger. Your body spilling over into my seat because you're too big for your own seat." Completely valid, completely justified. J-Bay thinks she should get 2 or 3 or 4 free seats. No, you ate your way out of a seat. I know airplane seats aren't the biggest, the most comfortable, but a majority of people can squeeze into them. If you have eaten yourself out of the ability to do that, buy first class seats or buy multiple seats. Heck, buy multiple first class seats or lose some weight before your trip. Jaelynn, put the frickin' fork down. You eat so much to be this size and maintain it. You're eating at least 4,500, 5,000 calories a day. You could easily survive on only 3,000 calories a day, which, by the way, is like double what I need to be able to eat. I'm so jealous of people who can eat more. But do you see what I mean? Like, she could still eat a ton of food and lose weight. That is how much this woman actually is eating. Just shamelessly too. But that's the comment she's reacting to. So let's hear her answer.
If you're bothered by the idea of someone spilling into your seat, then you should be all in for the plus-size travel petition.
Oh, she's using it to hawk her travel petition. No. Or they also say, well, if you don't want someone spilling into your seat, then you should buy 2 seats. No, no, no. No, no, no. People who fit in their seat shouldn't have to buy multiple seats in order to have their own space because you don't want to. And even then, if they did, like J-Bay would just be like, oh, good, you have 2 seats. You have plenty of room. You don't take it all. And she would allow herself to frickin' Jabba the Hutt spill over into that person's bot seat. You know what I mean? It's like she doesn't want to have to pay, either hypothetically or literally, for her choices and her actions. No, buy a second seat. You clearly know you take up 2 seats. You see pictures of her in a plane. She takes up 2 full seats, and her husband probably takes up 1.5. Between the 2 of them, just buy a whole freaking row. And what, if you don't want to pay that? If money's such a problem, Jaelynn, you don't get to complain about money because you're going on yet another freaking luxury vacation. Ugh.
The changes proposed would solve the very issue you're trying to use as an example.
No, no, no. And again, I just explained what would solve the problem. And here is a clip of her. It's like slowed down. She has it slowed down. But I have seen a similar clip to this at normal speed. And this woman is literally speed walking her ass into the airport, big smile on her face, dragging this exact piece of luggage to go on a trip. So when she wants to, she can move just fine.
But instead, your anti-fatness is showing with your ignorant comments.
Oh yeah.
It's about time that all of society realized that supporting inclusivity benefits everybody, including yourself.
No, it benefits you, Jaelynn. You don't care about everybody else. You just care about fat people, particularly you and your also very obese husband.
Time to drop the ignorance and hop on board the inclusivity train.
No, and that's the problem is, I'm sorry, there's too much inclusivity these days. You have to have a little exclusivity. Like, everything in America is built and made bigger than ever in this day and age. There's plenty of stuff made to fit very large people in this country. And when you get to the point where you're outsizing that, you're the freaking problem. You can't just keep having stuff built bigger and bigger and bigger, because then guess what? When she outsizes that, she can, well, it's not big enough, change it again. No, at some point, society, I've said it before, society is meant to fit the masses, not the massive. And if you outsize it, then that's your problem. You deal with it, or you lose the frickin' weight. Like, just the laziness and the entitlement, the lengths this woman will go to avoid eating less. I mean, think about that. She is so obsessed with all of her crap food that she will go to these lengths as opposed to just giving it up a little bit. And there are videos of her eating on her channel. I'll have to look at some of those and maybe do a video specifically on those if there's enough of them, but we'll cover that, but not in this video. This is what we were talking about in this one. She's so smug. I just want to, it's like, ugh, her face is just like, it grates me. But anyways, that's that. I'll definitely be looking at Jaelynn more. Haven't had time. There's been a lot going on right now in gorl world. So let me know what you think. Have you heard about the controversy this woman is causing with the planes and the hotels and the travel and the entitlement and all that. Have you seen any of these? If there are any clips from her or any other specific fat activists that you might want me to look at and talk about and cover, or a creator you want me to look at, let me know. Post it in the comments and I'll take a look and I'll see if we can get to them and cover them. So anyways, leave a plain in the comment section if you want to help the algorithm and you don't have anything else to say. Do the like, subscribe, all of those things. And I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this little rant. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.